Daniel Mitchell let out a shrill roar. "You're dead! You!" Bam! Another solid punch landed. "Spare the rod, spoil the child. You deserve all of this." Daniel's cheek instantly swelled and reddened, his whole body trembling with rage. "You filthy beggar! I'll kill you." As he spoke, his arms flailed wildly towards me, but I easily blocked them. His strength was no match for mine, honed by years of regular exercise. I took the opportunity to kick hard at the back of his knees. Daniel crashed to the ground with a loud thud, looking utterly pathetic. I turned slightly to look at my daughter. "Aileen, remember this. If someone tries to bully you unreasonably, you hit back hard, just like Daddy did today." Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. The teacher nearby seemed to come to her senses, quickly pulling me away and helping Daniel Mitchell up. She angrily exclaimed, "Mrs. Williams, have you gone mad? How dare you?" Daniel Mitchell couldn't stop shaking, his eyes filled with rage and hatred. Knowing he was no match for me, he could only pant heavily. "You bastard! You'll pay for this." He then dialed Maria Jenkins' number, his voice filled with grievance. "Darling, I've been bullied, and the one who did it is just a low-level employee in your company." The voice on the other end was arrogant and domineering. "Which fool dares to bully my Daniel? Send me your location now. I'll back you up and teach them a lesson they won't forget." Daniel hung up the phone and glared at me, his face once again displaying smugness and arrogance. "You might feel good about your outburst now, but when my wife gets here, you'll be crying. In the face of power, your fists mean nothing." I silently smirked. It was perfect timing for Maria to come. By my calculations, my people should be arriving soon too. "Today, we'll settle this once and for all." Just then, a middle-aged man approached. His eyes immediately fell on Daniel, his tone sycophantic. "Mr. Mitchell, Mrs. Jenkins just called me. She said you were mistreated at school. I'm terribly sorry for our oversight. Rest assured, we'll give you a satisfactory resolution today." Then he turned to me with a gloomy face, fuming. "So it's you who dares to go against Mr. Mitchell? I'm the headmaster of this international private school, and I'm expelling your daughter Aileen Williams on behalf of the school right now." Hearing about the expulsion, Aileen trembled against my leg. I gently patted her, saying softly, "Don't worry, you won't be the one leaving today. It'll be this headmaster who discriminates and can't tell right from wrong, along with the son of that homewrecker." When I said, "homewrecker's son," I deliberately looked at Daniel, my voice slowing down but emphasizing those words. Daniel exploded instantly. "Who are you calling names? Who's a homewrecker? I'll smash your mouth." By now, more and more parents had gathered to watch the commotion. They couldn't help but comment, "Eileen's parent must have lost it, daring to offend the little tyrant's family. Everyone knows to steer clear of them at school. He's in for it now." For the past 6 months, Mrs. Jenkins from Williams Group has been accompanying them to every event. The way she calls him darling in public, it can't be fake. Exactly. How could Jimmy's dad be the other man? Isn't this just slander? The headmaster pointed at me furiously. "You must have gone mad. You dare call Jimmy's dad the other man? What, are you Mrs. Jenkins' real husband? Ridiculous." I couldn't help but curl my lips. "You've actually got it right. I'm the one who's legally married to Maria Jenkins." I fixed my gaze on Daniel's face. "Daniel Mitchell, for the past 6 months, you've been throwing my name around, acting recklessly, bullying others. Today, you even dared to bully me and my daughter. You've got some nerve." Daniel's eyes turned red with anger, his voice shrill. "You bastard! You're talking nonsense." The headmaster shouted, "Call security. Get this lunatic out of here. What utter rubbish." Then, he said to Daniel obsequiously, "Please calm down, sir. Why bother with a madman? Everyone in school knows how much Mrs. Jenkins values you. I promise you'll get your satisfaction." Just then, an announcement echoed throughout the school. "Aileen Williams from Year 2, Class B has bullied her classmates. Her parent has been unreasonable and violent. Despite the teacher's attempts to mediate, they have refused to change. The school hereby announces her expulsion. The announcement played several times, as if afraid people might miss it. Some of the surrounding teachers and parents sighed. They say you can't fight the powers that be. Such a good educational opportunity gone. The child's record will be tarnished forever. The impact is huge. Others gloated. It's all because of that crazy man's own doing. Still claiming to be Mrs. Jenkins' real husband, he should look in a mirror. Dressed in dirty work clothes, while Mr. Mitchell is in a top-tier luxury suit. He's just blowing his own trumpet, thinking others are blind. The headmaster straightened up and looked at me, his face full of mockery. Mr. Williams, this world isn't ruled by who shouts the loudest or talks the most. Look at you, all that fuss, and in the end, only your child gets expelled. Your child is truly unfortunate to have a parent like you. Daniel laughed with satisfaction. That's more like it. Teach this shameless scum a lesson. My wife will be here soon, and then you'll be in even more trouble. I let out a cold snort and glanced down at my smartwatch. 10 minutes tops. In 10 minutes, the board members of the Williams Group would all be gathered here. They could laugh for 10 more minutes at most. As for the rest of their lives, there would be plenty of time for crying. At that moment, the sound of a car roaring in the distance reached us. Jimmy Mitchell excitedly shouted, "Dad, it's Mum's car. She's here. Soon." A haughty female voice rang out. "Who's the fool daring to bully my husband and son? Show yourself." The crowd of onlookers parted to both sides. In the next second, Maria Jenkins and I locked eyes, a fleeting look of bewilderment crossing her face. My gaze was meaningful, brewing a storm. Daniel Mitchell took Maria's hand, pointing at me and saying, "It's him. Darling, you must teach him a lesson." The headmaster chimed in, "Mrs. Jenkins, it's him. He first beat up Mr. Mitchell, then claimed in front of everyone that he was your husband, accusing Mr. Mitchell of being the other man. We can't keep such a shameless person in our company. He should be blacklisted across the industry." Maria's expression became increasingly grim, her emotions visibly conflicted. I suddenly laughed, staring at Maria. "Cat got your tongue, Maria? Say something, won't you? Blimey, this nutter's got some nerve, still putting on an act. Mrs. Jenkins, give him what for. Show him who's boss. Mrs. Jenkins, I suggest our legal team sue this scoundrel who insulted Mr. Mitchell until he's penniless and spends the rest of his life behind bars." The bootlickers angrily complained to Maria. Before I could speak, Aileen suddenly piped up, sounding utterly distraught. "Mummy, haven't you noticed me all this time?" Maria finally looked down to see her daughter's face, half swollen and covered in blisters. She froze. Jimmy Mitchell, standing nearby, snarled, "You little bastard. Don't you have a mum of your own? Why are you calling her that? Call her that again, and I'll pour more boiling water on you. Scald your whole body." Aileen clenched her tiny fists in anger. "She is my mummy. Mummy, it was Jimmy who poured hot water on me. Daddy was just protecting me." Daniel Mitchell looked at Aileen with disgust and cursed. "Little bastard. Just as vile as your father." After cursing, he deliberately showed his bruised face to Maria. "Look at this, that man did this to me. You've got to sort this out today." Maria's eyes were filled with uncontrollable concern. "How did it get so swollen? Does it hurt terribly?" At the same time, Aileen was also talking about how much her face hurt after being scalded. Maria acted as if she hadn't heard. When she turned to look at me again, her eyes were full of anger. "Zion Williams, you really are a scheming bastard. You tried every trick to seduce me at the company, and even after I clearly rejected you, you dare to come to the school to bully my husband and son. How utterly vicious of you. What utter nonsense." She was quite the expert at turning black into white. My gaze turned icy. "Maria, you must have a death wish. Have you forgotten who gave you all this good fortune?" Contemptuous voices arose from around us. "This bloke's talking as if it's the truth, like it's real." He can really tell a whopper, can't he? Wearing the uniform of a lowly employee, yet daring to claim he's the general manager. Someone laughed, pointing at their temple. I reckon he's got a screw loose up there. Didn't Mrs. Jenkins say? This man's just a sleazy fox, not even proper at work. He came here today just looking to scam. Didn't he? Truly disgusting. Amidst the crowd's jeering, Maria declared resolutely, I'm firing you right here in front of everyone. Our company will never hire someone like you who lacks moral integrity and corrupts the work environment. The bootlickers cheered, looking at me and my daughter with contempt and disgust. How's that then? The kid's got no school to go to, and you've lost your job. I reckon you'll be off collecting rubbish with your daughter from now on. That's not enough, is it? You've forgotten his old trade, haven't you? Seducing rich women is his bread and butter. He's got other career options. Daniel Mitchell embraced Maria, flashing a cruel smile at me. Darling, since he's no longer part of our company, shouldn't we strip him of that uniform right here and now? Maria responded indulgently. Whatever you say, I'll sort him out for you right away. Just then, high-end executive cars approached from the distance, and someone cheered. It's the Williams Group's executive vehicles. Mrs. Jenkins really knows how to make a statement. Mr. Mitchell is one lucky man. Daniel Mitchell was first startled. Then his face spread with undisguised joy and excitement. Disregarding the setting, he hugged Maria directly. Darling, you even called in the big shots from the group to back me up. A procession of men in bespoke suits emerged from high-end executive cars, their demeanor commanding and impressive. The onlookers gasped in awe. These are the financial bigwigs we only see on telly. As the crowd continued to marvel at the prowess of these VIPs, Daniel Mitchell puffed out his chest with pride, as if basking in reflected glory. Maria Jenkins, however, glared at me with a dark expression before suddenly stepping forward with a forced laugh. She hissed in my ear, Zion Williams, you think I've been idle during your 6-month absence? Even if you've summoned these directors today, what good will it do you? Let me tell you the truth. I've already bought them all off. You no longer have a say in the company. If you're smart, you'll slink away with your tail between your legs. I raised an eyebrow, a meaningful smile playing on my lips. Maria, let's wait and see, shall we? If what you say is true, why are you so flustered? Maria shot me another cold look before turning to greet the high-ranking directors. She smiled as she welcomed them. Gentlemen, welcome. But the directors merely glanced at her before walking directly to me. Everyone was stunned by this turn of events. Weren't these people called here by Managing Director Jenkins? Why were they approaching this man instead? What was going on? Even Daniel Mitchell looked confused, tugging at Maria's sleeve and questioning her with his eyes. Maria gritted her teeth and called out, Director Andrews, I'm over here. Henry Andrews turned back, a contemptuous smile on his face, but said nothing. Maria's expression darkened. Director Andrews, Director Reynolds, didn't we just have dinner together a couple of days ago? You promised me. I cut her off. Maria, I know all about your meetings with them. I've called them here today to hold a special board meeting. The agenda is to dismiss the current managing director, Maria Jenkins. As I finished speaking, all the onlookers seemed dumbstruck, as if they couldn't comprehend my words. What does he mean? He's going to sack the managing director of Williams Group. Who on earth is he? Isn't he just a low-level employee? How come all these big shots are siding with him? I graciously answered everyone's confusion, saying, I've been abroad for 6 months on a fact-finding mission. I only returned a couple of days ago and decided to conduct some research at the grassroots level in warehouse management to understand the company's latest situation. That's why I'm dressed as a basic employee today. My true identity is the chairman of Williams Group. As I finished speaking, the crowd gasped, their eyes widening in disbelief. This is unbelievable. What a shocking twist. Ignoring their exclamations and discussions, I calmly addressed the group. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all directors of Williams Group. I now propose to remove Maria Jenkins from our company. Does anyone object? The directors responded in unison, "No objections. This is fantastic. I've long been disgusted by her incompetent leadership. I wholeheartedly support this decision." Maria's face contorted in disbelief. "How is this possible? I've devoted years to this company. You can't just oust me with a single word." I smiled slowly, my voice softening. "But the fact is, Maria, all the directors agree. You're out. Completely." Panic flashed across Maria's face as she desperately pleaded. "Director Andrews, you can't go back on your word. You promised me at dinner that you'd support my bid for chairperson and stand by me." Henry Andrews replied dismissively, "I never said any such thing. You must have misunderstood." Maria's face flushed crimson as the surrounding crowd began to gossip. She was just talking about sacking Eileen's dad, and now she's been publicly stripped of her managing director position. How embarrassing. As Maria struggled to form a response, her son Jimmy Mitchell rudely interrupted, pointing at the directors. "Mummy, if these people won't listen to you, why don't you just fire them all? Didn't you tell me there are servants? If servants don't obey, you give them a good thrashing. And if they still don't listen, you throw them out like rubbish." Mr. Andrews glanced at Jimmy Mitchell, his smile enigmatic, then turned to Maria Jenkins. "Mrs. Jenkins, you certainly know how to raise children. So this is how you view us behind our backs." "Oh, pardon me. You're not Mrs. Jenkins anymore, my mistake." Maria hastily waved her hand, unwilling to relinquish her power. She eagerly tried to placate them. No, it's all a misunderstanding. The child was just talking nonsense. Didn't we have an agreement? Mr. Andrews, Mr. Reynolds, you can't abandon me now. We can still retract the vote." Mr. Reynolds looked at her coldly and said sarcastically, "Please, we wouldn't dare. After all, we're just rubbish, aren't we?" He emphasized the word, rubbish. Maria puffed out her cheeks, holding back her anger, and kicked Jimmy Mitchell to the ground. "You little brat, what nonsense are you spouting? Apologize to these gentlemen immediately." Jimmy winced in pain but remained defiant. "No, Mum. Why aren't you on my side? Why should the master apologize to servants?" As the mocking laughter around them grew louder, Maria was nearly apoplectic with rage. She kicked Jimmy again, shouting, "How dare you talk such rubbish? How dare you?" Daniel Mitchell quickly rushed to embrace his son, his eyes full of concern. "Maria, didn't you say you had full control of this company? Why are you afraid of them? This is our son. How can you bear to hit him?" Maria gritted her teeth and took a deep breath. "Keep him in line. Don't let him speak out of turn again, or I'll thrash you too." She then walked towards me. Maria lowered her proud head slightly, her face still dark. "Zion, we are still husband and wife after all. I admit I acted hastily and thoughtlessly today. Why did you bring all these directors here? It's so troublesome. Stop this nonsense. Explain to everyone that this is just a marital dispute between us. It doesn't affect company matters. It's all a misunderstanding." She deliberately lowered her voice, intending only for me to hear. So I feigned confusion and said loudly, "What? You say we're husband and wife, then who is Daniel Mitchell? Everyone here acknowledges him as your lawful husband, Maria Jenkins." Maria's temple twitched. Faced with the confused and anxious gazes of the crowd, she could only say through gritted teeth, "You are my husband. Daniel Mitchell is nothing to me. Stop making a fuss. Isn't it embarrassing enough to air our dirty laundry like this?" The observing parents and teachers were once again stunned, standing frozen for a good while before seeming to react. So the little tyrant is an illegitimate child, and Daniel Mitchell, who always acted so high and mighty, is the mistress? How dare he put on such airs? My goodness! This has completely shattered my worldview. Maria Jenkins actually had the audacity to bring her lover to all sorts of school activities. If I were the lawful wife, I wouldn't stand for it either. And Maria Jenkins had the gall to point at her lawful husband and accuse him of seducing her at the company. If the real husband hadn't been so capable, this would have been a complete travesty of justice. I now fully support Chairman Williams in taking down that shameless woman. At this point, Mr. Andrews stepped forward to speak. The company was founded by Chairman Williams' grandfather and passed down to him. He personally holds 65% of the shares, while Maria Jenkins doesn't have a single share. As for why Maria Jenkins became the general manager of the group, it's because she's Chairman Williams' daughter-in-law. Back then, she aggressively pursued the chairman at university, but now it seems she had ulterior motives all along. The crowd erupted again like water droplets hitting hot oil. Blimey, so she climbed to the top through her husband. The nerve of her, to openly keep a lover and an illegitimate child. That's not all. She's so ambitious and ruthless that she'd even disregard her own daughter to protect her lover. Let me tell you, I saw the whole thing from the start. It all began when the illegitimate son couldn't accept that Chairman Williams' daughter beat him at checkers, so he poured hot water on the little girl's face. Oh no, I saw that little girl. Her face was all red and blistered. It must have been so painful. Maria Jenkins is completely unfit to be a mother. Under the contemptuous gazes of the crowd, Maria's face grew darker and darker. She shouted, "This is all our private family matter. What right do you have to gossip?" Daniel Mitchell rushed over, his face flushed with shame and anger. "Maria, explain yourself. We may not have a marriage certificate, but we had a wedding ceremony. Our child is already so big. What do you mean I have nothing to do with you?" Maria pointed at Daniel Mitchell and cursed. "It was you who seduced me first and slept with me. How could you be so cheap?" I coldly watched them hurl abuse at each other while the others eagerly watched the drama unfold. Seeing that the time was right, I stepped forward. "Since you two are so entangled, I'll do you both a favor today." With that, I took the divorce agreement from my assistant and slapped it hard against Maria's face. Maria looked down at it. "What? I leave with nothing?" I replied coldly. "What else did you expect? Did you think wealthy families are all fools? When you married me, you signed a prenuptial agreement. Have you forgotten?" Maria stared at me intently, then after a while said, "Zion Williams, you're ruthless." Knowing she had lost, she turned to leave with Daniel Mitchell and their child. I shouted, "Wait, we still have some accounts to settle." Daniel Mitchell stood in front of Jimmy, glaring at me with bloodshot eyes. "Zion Williams, what more do you want?" I replied nonchalantly, "I'm going to exercise my rights as a school governor in front of everyone. Jimmy Mitchell has been bullying the weak, acting unreasonably, and refusing to heed advice. Today, he will be officially expelled." Someone in the crowd started cheering, "Good! Such an unreasonable little tyrant should have been dealt with long ago." I continued, "Expulsion is just the first step. Secondly, how many children has Jimmy Mitchell bullied during his years at this school? And these bullied children and their parents could only suffer in silence because you were hiding behind the Williams Group's reputation. You should face legal consequences." At this point, I nodded to the security guards brought by the governors, signaling them to restrain Maria Jenkins and Daniel Mitchell while waiting for the police to arrive. As the sound of police sirens approached, Daniel and Jimmy began trembling like leaves. Maria, seeing this, desperately grabbed my hand. "Zion Williams, what are you doing?" My gaze, cold as ice, swept over them before settling on Jimmy. "Wrong actions must face punishment. School bullying is despicable and should face legal consequences." The crowd stirred, parents exchanging glances, filled with righteous indignation. That's right. The father is to blame if the child is not taught properly. The police should be called to teach this father and son a lesson. Identity theft and school bullying, they should be sent to prison. Even some of the bullied children, unable to contain their anger, ran forward and kicked Jimmy hard. I watched Daniel's pained expression and smiled. "It's just children roughhousing. Why are you making such a fuss? How come it's fine when your child bullies others, but not when others retaliate?" Daniel struggled frantically. Enough! Maria, are you just going to stand there and watch our son being bullied?" Maria was furious, of course, but what could she do? She was just a social climber whose true nature had been exposed. She could only stand there stammering, pretending to be clueless. Soon the police arrived, and Daniel and Jimmy were taken into criminal custody on suspicion of school violence. "Dad, Mom, save me!" Jimmy cried out heart-wrenchingly as he was led away. I gave him a cold glance and raised my voice. Although we are an international private school with many children from wealthy families who are accustomed to using their power to bully others, school should be the purest place in the world. Even if children come from different backgrounds, they should all enjoy equal rights to education and should not be treated differently. At the same time, it doesn't mean that wrongdoings should go unpunished just because someone comes from a wealthy family. Everyone should be treated equally, regardless of who they are. The parents erupted in cheers, some even with tears in their eyes. Many of them had been bullied by Daniel and Jimmy for far too long. Maria suddenly started to lose control. She clung to my trouser leg, insisting that I write a letter of understanding. I looked at her tear-stained face, puzzled. Wasn't her daughter flesh of her flesh? "Zion, I beg you, if you forgive them just this once, I promise I'll be a good mother from now on." When Jimmy threw boiling water on her daughter's face, she not only didn't feel heartbroken but even aided and abetted him. Now she had the audacity to ask me for a letter of understanding. I slapped her hard across the face. In the end, it was the board members who held me back. Otherwise, I couldn't guarantee what I might have done in my fury. End.